That's sciatica, Jason.
Yeah,
You guys have a great show. I'm out of here.
I think it's
move over there.
I think it's just indigestion, to be honest. Okay, 928-541-1016. I wouldn't call if I were you because it's just too crazy around here. I finally got everybody quiet enough to introduce them. Are we streaming? This thing is not. This thing is on the fritz. Anyway, Facebook. It's okay, folks. Going around the table real quick. I want to introduce everybody in case you've got your scoring at home, which you should be. And if you're keeping score at home, year to date so far, Malcolm is in the lead with minus 437 points. And
is that only this year?
That's only this year. Yes. Just wait until the election edition. But first, to my left, of course, Bob Roecker, Bob Show. I pushed you off for another week, so it's 2 weeks from today.
That's right, October 8th. I'm going to have Gary Miller from S&M Electric coming in to talk to us, and he's a local entrepreneur, and I can't wait to talk to him.
Oh, it's going to be great. Yeah,
Yeah,
S&M Electric.
Great guy, great company.
Yep.
Absolutely.
It's going to be fun.
You've worked with him.
Yeah.
And to the table, of course, Mr. Tom Reilly. Thank you for joining us, former Prescott City Councilman and now member of the Planning and Zoning Commission, of course.
Yes.
Still on the Planning and Zoning Commission, despite
I haven't been fired yet.
past comments. Yes, not that they were here or there. I'm not claiming anything. General plan is up, and
Yes.
for a comment period, correct?
It sure is.
All right, we'll talk about that. I will get to you get to be first today, because of that.
Oh, I'm in. I'm
Good
in heaven.
choice.
You're second. You're the second introducee, but you're the first person to be able to speak to something. This is your last chance because for Malcolm here, because it just goes bad every time.
Well, I've got a guest for the next 3 weeks.
Tell me.
So, this Thursday, I have Denise Rainey of the Prescott Area Commercial Group talking about the Economic Summit coming up
Okay.
in the near future, and then I have county candidate for school Yavapai College Board, Ray Sigafus. He'll be the following week, October 3rd, and then on October 10th, I've got Prescott City Manager Dallin Kimball.
Okay.
Wow, very
Look at you being on the ball and everything.
It was accidental, but I handled it.
And then finally, caddy cornered for me, the dean of the Morning Coffee Group, Phil King. How are you?
Salam alaikum.
And been an interesting few weeks for your show. I believe.
It has. We covered some good city issues and took a lot of flack, and it turned out the flack was incorrect. And
But I thought that was
some-
Palguda.
if you saw last Wednesday's show with
or heard it.
with the mayor, or heard it, yeah, and then the two Mondays, and then of course there was Charlie Arnold this morning with Lois Fruworth, Councilman Fruworth, and then Karen Fan was sitting in for Lisa
Correct.
this morning, and she had Quan Nguyen with her, and they discussed 478 as well. So if anybody's heard those three shows, you have a good picture of exactly what's wrong with 478.
And we're going to get to that a little bit later. But right now, okay, I promised we have to deliver. Tom, talk to us about the general plan and what's coming up.
Well, actually, as of Monday, there's a website out there, and it's called www.planprescott.com. Planprescott.com. Just type that in and it'll take you to the website that shows you what's going on with the general plan. There is a 60-day public comment period that we are just kicking off right now, and that will last until about the end of October. And it's during this time that you can make comments on the website because it's interactive, or you can make your comments directly to the council. You can make them to anybody who was on the committee and what have you. And but it's time for you to take a look at it. And I will tell you, it can be an onerous document to sit there and expect 40-some-odd thousand people to sit and read 120-some-odd pages of stuff. So I would tell you that if you want to do the Cliff's Notes version, when you get to the chapters, just read what they want to do.
Synopsis.
Well, it's not even a synopsis. It's it's the steps that they're going to be taking. What's going to be happening and what's going to be doing. What are the strategies? And so just read those and get an idea. It'll give you a good idea of what's happening with the general plan, the direction that it's going in, and a lot of the things that are going on with it. It is important, folks, because believe it or not, the councils are supposed to be referring to this and making decisions based on what this general plan will be. And you, the voters, are the ones that are going to vote this in. So once you vote it in, that's it. Council can't change it. Nobody can change it except you.
And then we get to the 2030 plan.
Yeah, and then you have
Yeah.
to write a new one.
Well,
every
yeah, well, the 2035 will be. It's every
2035.
10.
Okay.
Yeah,
10 years.
every 10 years.
Okay, so this is a big one, and it's going to be voted on next year.
Next year in, I believe, August, summer.
The primary, which I think
think
is May.
so.
Yeah, I think that's May next year.
It might be that. I don't know exactly when it's going to be done.
Okay.
How does it get adjusted between the 90-day period after the 90-day period? Is anything?
Well, it's a 60-day period.
60-day period.
And so what happens then is that the comments are collected, and then staff will bring those comments back to the general plan committee, who will review those comments, include some, not include some, go back and forth.
Okay.
And then after that, it goes to the Planning and Zoning Commission. And then the Planning and Zoning Commission will then review it over a couple of different sessions that they're going to be having. And then after that, it goes to the City Council, and the City Council gets to review it and decide what gets put on the ballot.
Okay.
It gives them a good opportunity, gives the commission and the council a good opportunity to tighten up the language and make sure it says what everybody wants it to
We hope
say.
so.
Yeah.
We hope so. And, it's just there are certain council people out there, though, who don't think there should be any kinds of commissions because they're the ones that know what's going on.
I've heard that comment,
Why do
yes.
we have commissions and committees? We're the ones that are elected.
Yeah.
Why
Oh, yeah.
appoint the commission and the
They
committee
zap
then?
the water committee.
Well, what a buffoon.
We don't need that.
I just buffoonery at its best. But at any rate, folks, take a look at the general plan. It is an important document. It is something that's going to be guiding decision making. And I think that if you take a look at it, you may have some good advice out there for the rest of us, because we certainly, unlike this panel, not everybody on that committee is the fountain of all knowledge.
Well,
Yeah, there are a couple of questionable aspects to it, as there always are. Some of the better ones over the years have actually been a lot smaller, 25, 30 pages in length, as just specific outlines of the way to approach
How did it
concerns.
get to
Well,
120 pages?
Well, a lot of it, there's the Growing Smarter legislation that was passed
Yeah.
back in 2000 really put a lot of restrictions and additions that had to be included into general plans. So because of that Growing Smarter legislation, a lot of the verbiage that comes out of that are from the issues that need to be addressed by communities that are a certain size.
Malcolm's got a smirk on his face.
well, from my
Yes.
experience, the general plan is specifically a land use planning guide.
Okay.
How is our land going to be used in the future? It's not a place for social comments and repeating things that are already laws. It's land use planning. We look at a zoning map, we look at the allowed uses, and that's the way we grow forward. You don't it's not a everything and end all for everything you want to talk about.
Unfortunately, some of the social engineers always get a hold of sections of it, and you have to sometimes take the bad with the good and then
It's
sort it out in practice.
there was a lot of discussion going on, lively discussion
Yeah.
going on in the general plan committees, and a lot of the more egregious things have been left out of the plan. But the plan is that, and Malcolm, you're right, the land use document, the land use plan, is one of the few enforceable things in that document. And so you're right about that. How the document gets changed, what a major amendment is, what a minor amendment is, those are all very important things. So take a look at the land use plan. It's really, to me, it was sort of right there.
Well, look at the staff recommendation versus some of what the committee wanted in what constitutes a major land use change and a minor land use
Right.
change.
It turned out, it's a camel, which is a horse designed by committee.
Yeah.
But nevertheless,
Mark Twain said, "What sausage making and legislation?
two things you should
wanna
never
do-
witness.
Yeah, you don't want to see."
At any rate, though, I think that there's some things in there, and also the document is a guiding document. It does that, and when you're trying to do a certain thing in a certain area, whatever that may be, things like workforce housing, fire, police, different things like that, community development, those kinds of things. It kind of gives sort of a framework, as it kind of says, council, think about these things when you go to make those decisions. So with that in there, when we get reasonable councils back, we'll be able to do that.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a must.
And we're going to get our chance next year, I believe.
Next year.
The mayor's going to be up for re-election, and 3 seats will be up for election
Yes.
as well. Let's see. Eric Moore's seat
He's
will
going to be
up.
vacated. He's not going to be running again.
Okay.
The mayor
Yeah.
can tell me.
Can tell
Who's
me.
only had a 2-year, and
Montoya.
And Montoya.
Montoya.
That's right.
Well, it doesn't. No, roosting's got 2 more years.
Correct. Correct. And so those will be up for
too
election
bad.
next year, and we'll see what we'll see what happens.
Well,
So-
there's already there's a majority of council up for re-election every 2
2
years.
years.
Right.
Correct.
The
yeah.
mayor and 3 council
Right.
seats.
Right.
It's a
So
great
you can
system.
It
you can
is.
change the majority every 2 years.
Yep.
That was the
Love
one
it.
proposition on the ballot last year
That
that
failed.
and
Thank
needed to.
goodness.
Oh,
Yes.
there were a couple others that unfortunately we're going to have trouble with going forward.
and that's going to remain to be seen. So, okay, we're going to take our first break, and then we've got important news coming up. All sorts of things that we're going to talk about today, including numbers 478 and 479, Trump and Harris. Charges against the Trump assassin dropped today, and it's an interesting set of charges, to say the least.
And the fire chief.
And the fire chief.
I think the fire chief is pretty current.
Well, let's talk about that as well. But right now,
Okay.
we'll talk about some other ads here on the Mulligan Group, the panel of all knowledge. Folks, if you're still listening, you're braver than I am. We'll be back after this. And we're back here on the KYCAPM show. This is the Mulligan Group, the panel of all knowledge. Ha! We're back. And, folks, I was reminded that among all the current events, does anybody want to address Chief Freitag out at Central Yavapai Fire? I'm sorry, Central Arizona Fire and Medical Authority. Excuse me.
CAFMA.
CAFMA. Excuse me.
He was lynched inappropriately.
Yes. He was mob lynched by, regardless of the allegations that have been investigated, disproved, exonerated, he was mob lynched by the number of people who showed up at the meeting, and the board rolled 3-2.
Yeah.
3-2 to remove
To remove
Chief
him.
Freitag.
Yeah.
And I think that's another case of a public lynching based on who shows up in the room.
Yep. Huge injustice, especially when the investigation exonerated him totally, said all of the accusations were unfounded and false.
So what happens now?
Well, they
Yeah.
need a new
Now
chief.
they need a new chief.
They'll do an interim and do a search for a new chief.
Well, I heard the unions had something to do with that. Was that false information?
I don't know.
Uh,
I haven't heard much about it
The,
myself. I don't listen to
the
Matter of-
local and the state unions jumped in and said, yes, we need to do more to pay our firefighters more and ensure their safety and not harass them and don't retaliate and
Let's raise taxes.
let's raise taxes again.
Yeah.
Which the board can do unilaterally.
That's
Yes.
correct.
Yeah.
That's not that just shows up on your bill every
I was
year.
just thinking a lot of the listeners probably don't know that came down to today with after the meeting.
Right.
last-
We had a hard time getting some information on that. We didn't make it to the meeting last night.
Yeah.
So
And what a lot of listeners don't realize,
Hmm.
if you live in the county,
Well,
we all hear, well, you live in the
I live in Prescott Valley, so
one
that is
third of your total property tax bill goes to CAFMA.
that is correct.
And here in the city of Prescott, 0 goes for fire protection service.
so those who talk about joining it will rue the day were it ever to happen.
When their property taxes go up by 50%.
Well, they don't need to join it. I mean,
No, we don't.
Ron Prince set that up back in the late 80s, early 90s. Where
Really
there
well.
was a very, very well done, a mutual relationship, mutual response relationship between the two. At that time, it was Central Yavapai Fire.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, but
And
they-
we have a joint response agreement.
mutual-
and it does,
Yes.
and it's worked out well.
Yeah.
In fact, there is a CAFMA.
Right across the street.
There's a CAFMA station just down the way here.
It's now a
Can
Prescott
you
station.
opt out? If you're in the county, can
No.
you opt out and say I don't
No.
want to?
Nope.
I'll
Nope.
let my house burn. It's
Now
none of your business?
there are areas
There are
that
the
are
districts,
outside of
but-
the district. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
but
Right. No, you
But
cannot.
gotta participate.
If you live in the county and in their taxable district,
You're
it's
stuck.
mandatory.
Yeah.
Okay.
Try not paying your taxes, Bob. Just try that
I
once,
just
and then we'll see. You know.
Yeah.
Okay.
well,
I'm
hey,
just
you
saying.
get free room and board.
Taxpayer funded.
Yeah,
Okay.
Let's stop it right there.
Let's you're right. Let's halt that.
it's
But
not a real comfortable sell, but you know,
well, Chief Freitag was a good guy,
Yes.
and
Well, he's still a good guy.
It
he
was
will
an
be
in-
missed. He will be missed.
and it was an injustice. It
It
truly
was.
was.
There
it
you
was,
go.
It was a public lynching.
Okay, let's move on real quick to everybody's take on. Let's go to national politics here. Why not?
Oh,
because-
yawn.
Oh,
come
there's nothing
on.
to talk about there.
Oh, come on. Now, as I understand this, and you'll excuse me because I just got this on the wire just as it came down. Charges against the Trump assassin, Ruth, I believe his name was.
Attempted assassin.
Attempted assassin. Excuse me, and you're correct. He stalked the president for a month, apparently, and then was at the golf course for several hours. Originally, he had 2 gun-related charges, and now the charges include attempted assassination of a major presidential candidate, also possessing a firearm in furtherance of a crime of violence, and assault of a federal officer at some point.
Yeah, they already had him on an. He's a prohibited possessor because he's a felon, which just goes to prove that criminals don't obey laws.
Right.
And then the gun that he had the serial number removed.
And
That's,
it was,
yeah, right
Right
there.
here.
it was an SKS.
Yeah.
Anybody that knows
Chinese-
anything about firearms, that's a throwaway.
Well, here's the thing
But it
that's
would've-
got me
yeah.
confused.
Okay.
He apparently gave a box to a friend
Yes.
who didn't open the box, and
Right.
then now the DOJ or the FBI or somebody's disclosed a letter that was in the box.
Oh yes.
That said, in his handwriting apparently, that he failed to assassinate the president. Now
Huh.
think about that.
Yeah.
So pick up where I left off.
So where
Well-
had
well, no,
he
but
been?
how- but
Where
he-
had he been before?
Well,
is the-
I mean, does that mean he never intended to shoot the president?
I don't know.
I failed to attack. I failed in my effort, whatever the words were.
but it may have
Right.
been a week before. That
Who
he was
knows?
All I'm
referring
saying
to.
is,
you know.
apparently, this is a very weird something.
Oh,
I just want to
strange is
know how
going on.
somebody can live in Hawaii on $3,000 a month,
Well,
which is the
he
allegation.
had a Victoria's Secret's girlfriend there. That's how.
Oh, okay. Really?
Okay.
Have you seen
Yes.
that guy?
No.
I
Oh my!
get it
How'd he,
either, don't
how'd
I?
he,
Whoa.
how'd he do that? Yeah.
Wow.
Really?
Oh, okay.
He had a nice smile.
He made me laugh.
A good sense of humor.
Yes.
Well, so
There's no
he
accounting
looked
for
as I
taste.
expected.
Something- It's just bizarre.
It
So-
is strange.
It's just bizarre.
So this whole thing is really weird, and one of the weirdest campaigns I think we've seen. So with a month and a half to go, and the fact that ballots are coming out in 2 weeks, number one, does Trump win Arizona? Number two, does Trump win in general?
Arizona, no question. In general,
Arizona, he loses. You
no,
say?
he wins
Okay.
Arizona.
Okay.
I would agree with
think
that.
There's going to be an October surprise.
Oh, certainly.
That was the
that
follow-up.
is just totally unpredictable at the time. They're going to have to
You've
come
been-
up with something really good.
You've been listening to Carville. He came up with that.
he did.
He came up with that today and said there's going to be another event. He
There's
says
got to
I
be
don't know what it
something. There
is.
has got to be something
But,
because
yeah.
I think if that doesn't happen, I think Trump wins.
He wins Arizona. He loses the election.
Well, he,
Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, it's a
Well,
sham.
I think Wisconsin and Michigan are fool's gold. I think Pennsylvania, he's got a shot because of Chief Justice, that guy that's running for the Senate, that giant guy that everybody like with that dog. that dog he hauls around, the baby or whatever.
I
he calls
do,
it, it's
whatever it
just
is.
the coolest looking bulldog you've ever seen, and he's so popular. I think that Trump can win Pennsylvania, but I think Michigan and Wisconsin are fool's gold.
Okay, Tom, you're down there. What do you think? Any thoughts?
I'll make predictions.
I don't know. I'll make predictions. I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't have a good feel for it. I think
Yeah.
I'm hoping for a Clinton-like upset.
Yeah, I think that's.
Clinton-esque.
I think Clinton-esque. I think that's what we have to hope for, to be quite honest. The more we hear, apparently, let's see, Oprah Winfrey was extremely embarrassed by her interview last week,
Yes.
as I understand, and she should have known better. And Kamala wants another debate. This would be on CNN this time with the same rules.
Oh, goody.
Joyful.
Yeah, and
We're about joy.
yeah, we're about joy.
Oh, by the
I
way,
grew
have
up
I?
in a middle-class
I was
family,
just going to say, did you
and I
grow
worked
up in
at
a middle
McDonald's.
class? Yeah,
A middle-class family
you
with
did
a
work
working
at
mother,
McDonald's, yeah.
and we're going to help people.
Malcolm
that's her
and Phil,
plan.
the
And-
rest
Yeah.
of us are just here to watch.
Yeah, true.
And-
It's painful.
The reason that you're spending twice as much in fries as 4 years ago is because they're price gouging you.
That's right.
And there's something to
It has
say
nothing
about
to
that.
do with
Well, where are the-
transportation
Where are
costs
the
of
people
this.
that own these grocery stores and everything? Why aren't they saying, "Hey, wait a minute, that
Right.
doesn't happen"? What are
Well,
you guys talking about?
I think the base indicator for me is with my fries fuel points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
4 years ago, I could never get $1 a gallon off because of the price of our shopping is related to the points. Now I can't use all the points because we're spending so much on groceries.
Oh, that's a good
I'm
measure.
accumulating more points than I can actually spend.
Yeah, but
So we're giving them away to
yeah.
the kids.
Tongue in
Here's our
cheek.
number. Go get them.
tongue in cheek, like we say, is when Trump was president, I only had $20 to carry around in my gas tank. Now I have 60.
That makes me, and
Oh, I
that
love
makes
That makes me
wealthy.
wealthy.
Yes.
Do you remember the first time your fill up cost you over $50,
Oh yeah.
Whoa.
and the pump shut off, and you said, "Huh?"
Yeah.
Because they maxed out the pump and you were still going.
Yeah.
You had
My
to redo.
goodness. Well, folks, you know what? We've reached the halfway point of this, and I know some of you out there are saying, "Thank goodness." Okay, lots more to talk about here on the Panel of All Knowledge on KYC APM. Hope you're all enjoying this as much as we are. Back here on the KYCA PM show, Jason Zinzilieta and company. And again, I'm Curly. Welcome to the second half, once again, of the panel of all knowledge. Phil King, Malcolm Barrett Jr., put the phone away. Thank
He's
you.
as bad as a teenager.
I know.
You know?
Thank goodness you're not driving this.
My leg's reacting.
I'm sure.
I say, can you fix this thing?
Oh, my gosh. I've got a sledgehammer in the car. We can take care of it.
Too many inside jokes.
I know. Sorry, folks. Anyway, the inside joke hour is done now. So, real quick, do we want to address anything on 478? We've got a show coming up, hopefully in the next week or so. We're going to have Malcolm, and we're going to have Steve Blair, and we're going to have Dallin Kimball of the City of Prescott manager. Also, we'll have Mark Woodfill come in, finance director, and Ted Gambogi, who will kind of referee along with me. And basically, I'd like you and Steve to start hitting them up with questions concerning 478.
We're outgunned.
And okay, well,
Well,
as long as you admit it,
You're not, because two of them aren't decision makers.
True.
right.
So
And it's
they have to implement this mess
right.
and figure that out. But
What would you suggest they do? Because you guys were talking earlier about postponing this, perhaps.
Tom had a very good
Yeah,
idea.
Yeah.
Well, I think the idea is, I think that the language is sloppy.
Okay.
I think that the ordinance that was put in place is farcical. I mean, that ordinance can be undone at any time by any council anywhere, anytime. So the ordinance is
it
redundant.
was nice of them to kind
Well,
of tacitly admit they screwed up.
So
Nice
yeah,
try.
it is. Now the thing I think what they should do, and I don't think that the police and fire are going to suffer greatly from this, but I think that it can be put on the ballot next March.
Okay.
And I think what they should do is take it off the ballot, clean up the language, make it solid so that it supports fire and police in perpetuity like it's supposed to,
Yeah.
and then put it back on the ballot in March, and let's get this thing cleaned up and do it right.
You
Goes
now
back
earned a
to the
spot on the
orig-
panel.
Yeah, goes back to the original street tax of years ago that
Exactly.
was
Yes.
presented and failed. No, even before that.
After it
What
failed
was the open
twice.
space? Yeah.
And what the city did at that time, what the council did at that time, was specify, we will do this stretch of Iron Springs Road, we will do this stretch of Willow Creek Road. I think it was 5.
Yes,
And when those are done, the tax goes away.
correct.
And the voters at that point said, okay, let's see you perform.
Yeah.
And they did, the city did. Those streets were done, the tax went away. And then there was another, a year later, I think, another request for a temporary tax
Willow
to
Creek
fix
Road.
up the other streets.
Right.
And that one passed. And then it transmogrified into
A permanent.
Well,
yeah.
well,
If you
all right,
recalled, it failed twice before.
Yes. Let's get back to 478 real quick.
Same thing.
Let's say it passes the way it is. How do we fix it if that happens?
It'd take a council to put different language on another ballot.
Yeah, the only way that this can be fixed is by the voters. The council cannot fix it. They
Yeah.
don't have the power, the authority.
But they could present another
Another ballot initiative.
Yeah.
It has to be a
Yes.
ballot initiative.
eliminate
and
this
it would
one
have
that's not,
to-
cut
It would
this
have
up
to
and
be
put it on.
it would have to be a repeal and replace.
Can they do it next year?
They could.
They
They
could.
can do it anytime.
Okay.
Any time they can schedule an
So if
election.
it passes, it still is fixable if everybody agrees that
If you get a city council willing to take the steps
all
to
right,
do
obviously, okay.
All right.
And
but
the
if it
current
passes, why would they fix it?
Exactly, and that's the fear.
Exactly.
You know, that's the fear that the future councils, they have the ability to be able to use that money for whatever they deem public safety.
Ted Gambogi had a thought on this. He told me the other day where he said, "Yes, that's possible, but it's not happened, and it might not happen. We're making assumptions here that it could happen.
That's because we've seen what councils can do.
Okay,
You know, and we've seen how perverted they can become.
How much did
Not only just in Prescott, but all over the place.
Anywhere.
And it depends on who
It's
you
not
get there.
unique.
when you took office? There was how much in the capital improvement fund, and a year and a half later it was gone, Tom,
$15
Yeah.
million.
with nothing to show for it. It
Yeah.
was wasted.
And you know, the thing is,
You're still mad.
You bet.
Well,
We worked hard getting that $15 million saved up.
And then we had to build a new effluent line from the wastewater treatment plant
Yeah,
to the
you didn't
golf
have the
course.
money to
Yeah.
do
And we
it.
had a crisis and
Yeah.
didn't have the capital
Yeah.
reserve to
because
do
it
it.
was
So then the
spent.
MPC
It
came
was
along and
diverted
said,
and
okay,
spent.
yeah.
Had to borrow it, bond it, and
Yeah. Well, I think part of the issue is that on one hand you could say this is going to fail, just simply because it's not that good of an ordinance or whatever. But on the other hand, you've got, and I will say it again, and I mean it, Chief Dura and Chief Bonney, who are absolutely honest and 100% has trustworthy. Yeah, I could hand them $50 million, and if they said, I'm going to build this and build that, and I guarantee they would.
They were.
And
I
you know,
agree
I'll
with
tell
you.
you, one thing I will say is that I trust staff implicitly.
Yep.
yes.
Yeah.
You know, I do not trust all the elected officials.
You're looking at council members who are culpable for part of the problem. It's grown over the last 8 years,
And
but
they say, well,
these,
this is a surprise.
some
We
of
didn't know
these
that.
members
Yeah.
are responsible for having diverted the funds that now leaves those agency budgets short.
I could name 2 mayors in the last 20 years that have probably caused me to be this, but I'm not going to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll tell you
Yeah.
what. We've got to take a break, and we're going to move on to other things as well. And we want to hit 479 as well, just to let people know about
yes,
that one.
absolutely.
An absolutely vital thing. And the problem is, and I'll just say it before we go to the break. Both of these issues, 478, 479,
Back to back.
completely different, back to back,
End of the
bottom of the
ballot.
ballot.
Yeah.
Bottom of the ballot. And that's where some of our problems might lay on some of this. Anyway, back after this on KYCAPM. All right. Hey, we're back here on the KYCAPM show, the Mulligan Group for the September version. October is, let's see, I think about 5 weeks away, and I can't remember how many weeks it is. I can't count that high. And then the week after the last Mulligan Group will be Election Day.
Oh,
Yippee,
perfect.
Yippee.
We did that before one
Did
time.
that before. It's great. You go right into the election returns after we finish.
I know. Well,
Yeah, we get done telling you who's going to win, and the returns come out
by
the
the
other
way,
way. We did
Yeah.
great.
the
Yeah,
Bob
my
show's
record's
supposed to
not
be
very
that
good
day.
on
Is it
those.
gonna be on?
yeah, you're going to have an Election Day show.
Okay, Election Day show.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, you know, there's only so much of the, returns from New Hampshire that we can cover here. You know.
But then I get to do the election recap 3 weeks later when all the results are in.
Yeah, exactly.
And then everybody protesting depend on who wins or loses.
This is going to be an interesting thing. Here was I wanted to. You know what? I forgot about a question, and I just want to raise this real quick concerning the assassin, the attempted assassin who's now in jail.
Yeah.
He's going to face charges. I guess my tongue-in-cheek almost question is: will he receive more jail time than the January Sixers?
No.
After all, Trump made him do it.
Yeah.
He
Oh,
made him
some-
do it.
some
He
of it-
incited violence.
Some of the January 6th folks are sitting in jail and have never been charged.
Right.
That is an absolute unconstitutional violation.
Why,
and those,
why is that allowed to happen?
there'll be civil cases against the federal
Crazy.
government because
What-
although the federal government has to allow itself to be sued, But once this is settled,
Well, what's going to happen with P. Diddy?
Who
I
cares?
really didn't want to go there.
yeah,
I'm telling you.
no,
He deserves it all.
he go bye-bye long time.
Now, do you see, this is why I didn't, because Tom's looking a little bit confused down there.
Who is P. Diddy?
Yeah.
Never mind.
Puff Daddy, baby.
He's a rapper of some sort.
yeah,
Oh
long
God! Why don't we
history of-
talk about that? Come on, let's
yeah,
get back on the subject.
There we
Yeah.
go. Okay.
Now, wait
Let's
a
talk
minute.
about Kamala's
rich.
28% corporate tax.
Well, if you want, yeah, all right. Do you want to go into taxes?
Yeah.
Taxes, Tom?
Sure.
Okay, taxes. All right. 28% corporate tax,
Yeah.
right? And how much was the unrealized capital gains tax that they were attempting?
know.
25% or something like
By
that?
comparison,
that much, was it?
Kamala's proposing a 28% corporate income tax.
Okay.
China's rate is 20%.
Hmm.
Does that tell you any? The commies only want
it-
20%.
It tells us we're beating China.
But
Yes.
I don't care what kind of
and
tax.
Ireland is
Oh,
the
God.
most prosperous economy in Europe, and their rate is 16.
But I don't care what tax you impose on anybody.
It just
It
gets
is
passed
always passed to the
Yes.
consumer.
Of course.
Period.
Is all tax regressive?
in one sense or another. Yeah.
And corporate taxes
Uh-oh.
are taxed 2 and 3 times. First, the
Mhm.
corporation pays the tax.
Yep.
Dividends are paid after tax.
Yep.
Then the recipient, including the pension funds,
of
of
the
every
unions.
union and every government sector, pays more tax.
Yep.
Yep.
And then the individual recipient
Pays taxes.
pays taxes on that.
And then
And-
if they manage to save any of it, there's the estate tax after
Yeah.
they're gone.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's right. And don't forget this local and city taxes as it trickles down.
Here,
Yeah.
I got a quick question.
Yes.
Just popped in my head.
Okay.
The Department of Education. I've heard that the Trump administration, if Trump gets elected, he wants to get rid of the Department of Education.
Right.
Is that possible?
No.
Yes.
Why not?
No. Yes.
Of course it is.
What do they do?
First
It's
of
an
all,
executive branch of government,
Yeah.
and the executive in the government can shut down that particular thing. So
Exactly.
that's it's his
you have
prerogative.
you have to do it through the budget, and the budget goes
Well-
through Congress. And we haven't had one in how long? Because they keep
They're
passing
responsible for
continuing
distributing
resolutions.
federal funds to schools and school districts across the country.
We lost that battle way back in 1962 with federal aid to education that led to the establishment of the Department of Ed. There is nothing in the Constitution that
Zero.
enumerates a power to control the education system, the medical system, or half a dozen
No.
of the
Ener-
other
That's
agencies.
to point out-
energy.
Hmm.
How many employees do we need to keep track of energy production and prices?
Oh, Department of Energy,
Mhm.
Department of Ed, EPA.
They're
The
self-propagating
IRS
organizations.
Oh
Yeah.
yes,
Kamala.
the IRS agents
Yeah.
union endorsed
Yeah.
Harris,
Why
which
do they have a union?
Well, just transfer them over to
why
Border
are
Patrol.
public employees allowed to unionize? I mean,
that was
you can't serve two masters, can you?
Well, the air
Jason,
traffic
go
controllers.
ahead. Jump in here, Jason.
The air
No,
traffic
are you kidding?
controllers had a union under Reagan, and what happened to them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
well,
Yeah, but that's why the unions only go on strike during Democrat administrations, like the longshoremen are planning to do,
Yeah.
which is going to raise the price of coffee, bananas.
When is
and
that? When I haven't heard that. When's that
another
gonna happen?
week or so, whatever the
great.
start
You know, everything
date
that
is.
you're talking about here, you're absolutely correct. But there's one thing. There's a level of that comes with it, a level of negativity that there's a certain level of hopelessness in what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, I am as frustrated as you are
I know.
with a system that is corrupt. However, I do have a lot of hope that the people of this country are going to be able to pull ourselves out of it. I really have the great faith in the American citizen
There you go.
for them to be able to follow through with
I
it.
would agree with you if it weren't for the last two elections.
Well, Phil,
2 years ago and 4 years ago.
You and I could go
that,
back.
That proves that the
Let's
fix
go back 20 years.
is
but
in.
no, let's
this
go
too
back
shall
100
pass.
years.
Yeah.
And there have been elections that have been done in there. I mean, Andrew Jackson.
Oh.
You can go back to you can go back so many.
Tilden and Hayes.
There's so many different things, but look at this. I mean, we've had these issues against politicians since 1783.
Yeah.
When we said now,
Yeah.
since then, we've always managed to come through and still become the best, biggest, strongest country in the world that ever existed in history. So I have a faith and I have hope in the American people.
Okay.
The longest surviving
And I'm not running for office.
constitutional republic in history.
Yeah. And it's not
and
even
how
that
does
old
that
yet.
end?
26 will be 250 years.
There you go.
It ends when the people find a way to vote themselves the treasury.
Yep.
Well,
What's
okay.
happening?
John Adams noticed that.
I
Well,
You
I
have
doubt that's
to-
going to happen.
I
Tom,
hope-
in order to stay sane, I frankly agree with you because you have to always have hope. And
Yes.
if the public realizes what's being done to them in their own name,
And I think that,
then
that
there's an
LBJ's
opportunity.
the one who said that the candidate who wins is the one who brings in the last box of ballots.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Well,
a little disconcerting.
well, it's a little disconcerting, but by the same token, again, I mean,
did.
history says we should have hope.
Exactly.
They did find that ballot box in Wisconsin that was in some closet labeled "use if necessary."
Use if necessary.
Well, there you go.
We
That's
should
why
all
Wisconsin's.
Yeah.
we should all have a box like that just
You
full of
know what?
ballots. You know?
It's strange when you get a whole batch of ballots and it's unanimous
Yeah.
in the vote.
I-
Yeah.
That happened with Hillary.
It
with
happened with
comes in
several
a day
Wait,
Sure.
wait a
precincts.
second. Now, I have a box like that at home.
Yeah.
It's filled with ammo.
All right,
Well,
kids.
if ballots fail, what's left?
Well, all right. We'll leave that there.
There is hope.
There is hope,
Of course.
and we'll leave that. And we'll leave it with that. Okay, last break, and predictions may or may not be ahead. That's my prediction for the next segment here on KYCA. Back after that. Final segment of the KYCA PM show, the panel of all knowledge. Are you sad that it's almost over, or are you sad that you stayed this long? I don't know. It's a good question.
Have hope,
Have
Jason.
hope.
We are hopeful for the future. As Americans, that's what our propensity is.
I do
Yes.
have hope.
That's
I have
true, Mel.
I have hope that I'm still going to be awake in about 8 minutes. Okay, and with that, very quickly, I know we haven't talked much about the state. I mean, the state is the state. The legislature is going to be split. We know that.
479.
479.
Oh, 479.
Yeah, real quick.
Absolutely.
Let's visit 479 very quickly. 479 is home rule for Yavapai County. Very important. And again, the problem is that this and 478 are at the bottom of the ballot of the longest ballot we've ever had in Yavapai County.
And one is a tax, the other is not. 479 is not a tax. It
Just to
doesn't
expand spending authority for money they already have
that
and cannot spend unless
I think
479
the best way to
passes.
describe home rule is that if you don't vote for home rule, that is a vote for having the Arizona legislature take over your community, your county, your town, whatever it may
and
be.
they will sweep the
and,
money.
And they can take the money away from you. You don't want the legislature is
Maricopa.
Yeah, the great state of Maricopa.
Yeah.
But,
Yep.
you know, the thing is that when the legislature steps in, they're not the first group of people that I would turn to, you know, to help local situations. So did I say that nicely?
Yes,
Casey?
you
Yeah,
did.
done nicely
was
enough.
well
Yes,
done,
so
yes.
please vote yes on
479.
479.
Yes,
It's imperative
yes,
that
absolutely.
that passes.
And we just elected in the primary another Maricopa representative to represent
Yeah,
Yavapai.
Yeah.
we did.
Oh, that
Yes.
carpetbagging.
Oh,
Yeah.
Fella?
yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
That's polite.
Yes,
that-
it was.
well, I will see what happens when the legislature comes up, and it's going
It's
to be.
gonna it's gonna flip.
You think so?
Yeah, instead of one up this way, it'll be one up the other way.
As a Democrat.
Yeah.
On both houses,
Probably. Definitely majority of one.
and with 2 more years to go with.
Talk about
Miss
holding
Katie.
on to your
Oh,
wallets.
My favorite governor of all time, 16-year-old Katie Hobbs.
Oh, my
I
gosh.
just love it.
So basically, folks, I guess the big thing is that now we have 13 propositions. We've got a couple of questions. We've got school board elections, president, state legislature, and a few the corporation commission. You name it. I mean, all the judges. It's crazy this year. How the heck did we get here? And the thing is, it's important for people to know the ballot. Well, you got a long way to go. It's 4 pages.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, hopefully we're not going to have voter fatigue, and that's one of the reasons that 478 maybe should be moved to March or May, for that matter.
Well, and frankly, it deals with a city issue. It should be on the city
on its
ballot.
own.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, putting city issues on the general ballot is a bad idea.
Well, it's going to be on the ballot, right?
Yes,
There's
it
no
is.
way
It's
to
there. Yeah, it's
Get,
there.
It's,
No.
so-
It is. Let's see. Okay. Next up, predictions for Dancing with the Stars. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I know the answer.
I'm
Yeah.
kidding.
Oh, wait, we must. Taylor Swift.
No, Tay. However, I must admit, in Dancing for the Stars here locally,
Yes.
that was a great event. Your daughter danced, was that right?
My daughter danced with Dr. Paul Hicks, and they came in, I guess you would have called it second place, only because they were out fundraised by $30,000. But
That's
they had
right.
they had a great routine.
Oh, it was great. I got a chance to see Dr. Hicks, who had the greatest head of hair.
He had the Elvis wig.
He had the Elvis wig on.
Elvis wig. He never had hair that thick, but it stayed on during the routine.
Who won it?
Oh, I can't remember her name.
I don't, but
Yeah, but she did a
it was
wonderful
a
job.
great performance.
A great
How much
night.
money did the Boys and Girls Club?
Over
do
a
we
little
know?
over $500,000.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness!
One event.
fantastic. It's wonderful.
This was
Oh,
the
that's
greatest events.
fantastic.
It's one of the greatest
Fantastic.
events that's been
Which
figured out in
should
Prescott.
prove to us all that your first source shouldn't be, oh, how much can the government give us?
Right.
Let's go raise
We can
some
get
money.
That's
we
the
can
way
get
we
a
it
grant.
should
can do it. Yeah.
This is probably one of the most giving communities I think I've ever seen.
Oh.
Well, you know,
So there's
giving
hope.
a shout out to Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah.
Dancing for the Stars originated right here in Prescott, and now they've got Boys and Girls Clubs all over the country trying to emulate
I
that.
think it's Dancing for the Stars instead
Right.
of with.
Dancing
Yeah,
for
because of the
kids.
copy.
That's who you're dancing
Well,
for.
there's the copyright issue.
Right, exactly. But it's a great event, so it was great to see that.
It was a
and
packed house Saturday night.
It was fun. It was fun. It was
was
a lot of
great.
fun.
Well, the Barrett clan got the first 3 rows, but yes.
Yes, of course.
We had all the sisters and cousins and nephews and nieces. And
Well, pack the house and
packed the
cheer,
house.
right?
There
That's
you
right.
go.
If we could only do that with the ballot. I mean, never mind.
All right. Yeah. Okay, kids. We're down to 2 minutes here. Very quickly around the table. I know that we've got one more show before the election, but still, are you getting a sense that we are leaning one way or another? Has the mainstream media finally thrown it towards Kamala Harris, who had a 28% approval rating 3 months ago and is now leading President
Now
Trump
walks
in the
on
polls?
water. She's amazing. It's the second coming.
Do
She's
you-
gonna lose. I have hope. I have faith that
You-
the American
there-
people are going to do the right thing.
There's your hope, Tom, right there. Tom?
Well, that is a hope, and it's what you hope. I think that to your point exactly is that the media and the news outlets and the media are not here to inform you; they're here to persuade you.
Yes.
Good point.
Boy, that's true.
Perfect point. That's it.
Every time, remember the old Walter Cronkite days when he reported the news without opinion?
Even though he had an opinion.
He didn't give it, but
He didn't
it's
give it.
now
He
hard to read
fin-
any article anywhere without the editor or the writer opining, well, that
Yeah.
was, it's
Well-
obviously, he made statements that are obviously false, that.
Yep.
Walter Cronkite broke down in 1968, one on his Vietnam trip, when he said, "It is clear to this correspondent that we're wasting our time here."
Yep.
Words to that effect. And the other time at the 68 Democrat convention, when he sat there in the convention hall going, "Oh, the poor kids outside being beaten up by the cops."
He also lost it when we landed a man on the moon.
Well, that
Oh,
was
he was crying
yeah,
with
he
Wally
was-
Schirra. That
yeah,
was fantastic
yeah.
because of that event.
But if only we had Uncle Walter here again. Yeah,
Or
well,
even Mike Wallace.
or even okay, but the older Wallace.
Older
Yeah,
Wallace,
you go.
yes.
Last
The
words.
elder.
We got a few seconds here. Anybody? Nope. Okay, good enough.
Okay.
All right. Sorry, Bob. Too late. You had your chance. You had the last hour. Folks, we're about done here. Guys, thanks very much. Hope everything goes well. We're looking forward to fall. And,
It's fall now, and it's
It's
gorgeous out there.
Yep.
Well, we're actually in Indian summer, but fall is around the corner.
around the
No,
corner,
yeah, it
folks.
started.
The next time we see you will
Officially.
be later than the month. Happy Halloween.